The idea of using AI can feel a little intimidating. If you have felt that, you are not alone. I feel the same way. It's coming at you from all directions. All you hear is that it's bad and it's overwhelming and it's going to take our jobs.
And now these people from the future are showing up and offering to do the same work for next to nothing. They took our jobs. Yeah, they took our jobs.
But honestly, tools like ChatGPT are not really about being flashy or complex or taking your job. It's about making your day-to-day a little easier and your goals more achievable. Right now, I am 5 weeks in to the 12-week year. And that is all about setting clear goals and achieving them in a shorter time frame. These 6 tips that I'm offering today are things I have actually used to keep on track, stay productive, and not, lose my mind in the process. And the best part is that these tips aren't relegated to just the 12-week year. They are for anyone trying to juggle work, personal goals, and staying sane. My first tip is about breaking down big goals into actionable steps. This is one of the best ways to get after your goals. And I think it's also one of the easiest to screw up because we really overthink this shit. One of my goals for the 12-week year this time is to overhaul my freelance business. That includes updating my website, creating a better way to track clients and interactions with them, building a social media and YouTube strategy that really points in the direction of my work. When I first started, the tasks I set up weren't fitting into my schedule at all. They were just getting lost as I prioritized other things, which isn't really helpful when the goal is to stay on top of your business. So I used ChatGPT to help me break that goal down even further. I typed in something like, break down my goal of overhauling my freelance business into smaller tasks that fit into my busy schedule. And ChatGPT gave me a whole new approach. It suggested specific steps like dedicating a couple of hours each week to updating one section of my website, creating a client interaction spreadsheet, and drafting social media content in batches. The tricky part is that ChatGPT doesn't know your exact priorities or time constraint unless you include them in your prompt. So the initial suggestions might feel too broad or miss key details. To get a more tailored plan, refine your prompt with specifics like break down my goal of overhauling my freelance business with a focus on dedicating 2 hours weekly to website updates, creating a client spreadsheet on Fridays, and developing a social media strategy focused on content consistency. This way, you're feeding ChatGPT the structure of your week and your key objectives. The key takeaway here is that ChatGPT isn't just good for broad plans. It's really helpful for reorganizing those goals when they feel too big or when your tasks aren't working with your schedule. Tip number 2 is all about time management and task prioritization. It is easy to feel overwhelmed when your to-do list looks like a never-ending scroll. I have definitely been there. And like I said in my last video, I am there. But something I've learned is that cramming a ton of stuff into my day doesn't make me more productive. It just leads to burnout. I have been using ChatGPT to help me organize tasks, not just based on urgency, but also with mindfulness in mind. I cannot be held responsible for managing my own mindfulness. Just being real. So I'll type something like, help me prioritize my to-do list based on urgency and add breaks for reading or getting outside. ChatGPT will then generate a schedule that balances the most important tasks with moments to step away from the work slog. It's like having a little reminder that taking breaks is just as important as meeting deadlines. Of course, ChatGPT doesn't automatically know your stress levels. It doesn't know the kind of breaks you want. So it might suggest a walk when what you really need is 15 minutes with a good book or a good dog. To make the output more accurate, refine your prompt to include specific breaks and durations. For example, help me prioritize my to-do list with 2 important tasks in the morning, a 20-minute break for reading, and time for a walk in the afternoon. You can also add Limit the number of tasks to 5 a day to avoid overwhelm. This way you're guiding ChatGPT to build a schedule that aligns with your well-being. By customizing my schedule with ChatGPT's help, I've been able to focus on what matters in my workday without losing sight of self-care. It's not just about getting things done. It's about pacing yourself in a way that is sustainable. So moving on to tip number 3, client brief and feedback summaries. One of the biggest time savers I have discovered this year is using ChatGPT to handle client briefs and or feedback summaries. So when you're juggling multiple projects or proposals or briefs, they can be long-winded or packed with details. I mean, that's kind of a best/worst case scenario. And details, though, that are easy to overlook if there are a ton of them or it's just not a clear and concise email. So I use ChatGPT to break those emails down into key points, which saves me from rereading and having to reach back out to the client. But I didn't just stop at emails. For phone calls and video calls with clients, I often record the call in like a voice memo, and then I transcribe it using an app and upload the transcript to ChatGPT and prompt it with something like, summarize the client call into key points and create a to-do list with mentioned deadlines and any important notes. It gives me a clear, concise summary with a ready-made to-do list. So I'm not scrambling to remember everything that was said, and my notes page, which is often very unorganized after that kind of call, just everything is laid out. The challenge is that ChatGPT isn't perfect with context or emphasis. So it won't always know what parts of the email or the call are most important unless you highlight that in your prompt. So this is a way for ChatGPT to really be an assistant to you, but not take over your work. You should definitely be going over it, rereading the transcript yourself, and just making sure any of the details aren't lost. To get better results, you can refine your prompt to include specifics like summarize this email with a focus on deliverables and timeline expectations, or create a to-do list based on this call, prioritizing any tasks with deadlines this week. If there's a particular part of the conversation that's key, you can also say, emphasize any changes in project scope or priority. This way you're directing ChatGPT to focus on what matters most to you and your clients. This approach has saved me so much time, and it reduces a lot of the back and forth between clients. So now I have clear notes and action items right away, and I can move forward confidently. Tip 4, prepare for client meetings and or work sessions. So we have all been there, going into a meeting with a jumble of ideas in our heads that we haven't really quite worked out yet. I hate that feeling. Trust me, the best time to figure out what you're trying to say is definitely not in the middle of a meeting. So here's one strategy that I have been using recently. I basically brain dump into my phone all the ideas I have or things I want to talk about. I record myself speaking, sometimes rambling or talking through ideas that sound nonsensical at first. Then I upload that transcript to ChatGPT and literally type, make this make sense. This prompt is surprisingly effective. ChatGPT helps take my brain dump and turn it into something coherent and concise so I can walk into meetings, or I'm not really walking into meetings, I am just turning them on, with clear ideas. I found it's not just helpful for brainstorming, but also for creating an agenda that keeps everyone on track. It's also useful for generating your own agenda, even if the meeting doesn't require it, whether it's for a client meeting or a work session where you have a lot of deliverables with only slight differences. Having a clear agenda helps keep things organized and focused, and also helps you ask the right questions. I usually prompt ChatGPT with something like, create an agenda for a 30-minute meeting to discuss video editing revisions, timelines, and new ideas. Again, ChatGPT is not perfect at capturing context or tone. And I feel like this is something I'm going to say repeatedly because it's something that in my interaction with ChatGPT and with my experience talking to others who've dealt with ChatGPT, it's something that just keeps coming up. It isn't perfect at capturing context or tone, so it might misinterpret your voice notes or make your agenda sound way too formal if you don't guide it in the correct way. So to make sure the output fits your style and or needs, refine the prompt by saying, make this make sense, in a friendly conversational tone, or generate an agenda for a casual client meeting with clear action items and time limits. This way you're guiding ChatGPT to create something that matches your approach and the client's expectations. By prepping this way, I don't just go into meetings with ideas, I go in with a plan. And let's be honest, we all communicate better when we know exactly what we want to say. Tip 5, I am training for a 10K right now. And that means I'm either at the gym or out on the roads pretty frequently. And so to keep myself on track and avoid burnout, I have been using ChatGPT to help create more personalized nutrition and fitness plans. I feel like this can get a little wonky, so proceed with caution. The challenge is finding that nice balance between pushing myself and not being so exhausted from my morning workout that I can't move a muscle, or worse, I can barely stay awake to get any work done. So this week I've got 4 workouts from my physical therapist, 3 workouts at the gym, 2 of those are with a trainer, and 3 running workouts. So that's a lot. And if you've been following me for a bit, you probably know I have a tendency to overtrain. But the great part about these workouts is that they're focused on training my weak spots, so they're not all high intensity or cardio based. This week, I prompted ChatGPT to help me schedule this more effectively. I wanted to make sure I had at least 1 full day of rest and could still make my 2 in-person training sessions at the gym. And so ChatGPT gave me a layout that fit everything in without me feeling like I was overcommitting to anything. The thing to remember here is that ChatGPT does not have an in-depth understanding of your current fitness level, recovery needs, or how intense each workout might be unless you specifically say that. While it can generate a full training plan, it won't always consider how other training or your bigger goals fit into that plan, so it might not work out in the long run. To get better results, refine your prompts by including more specifics. This way you're giving ChatGPT the framework of your schedule and training focus. And this doesn't stop at scheduling. I also asked ChatGPT for suggestions on supplements and proteins and fueling options, or even things like what kind of breakfast should I have before a strength day, or how many carbs are too many carbs for a long run. It's like having a pocket coach that helps me make smarter decisions with my training and nutrition. So if you're juggling multiple workouts and want to avoid overdoing it, using ChatGPT to help you create a balanced plan, get nutrition advice, or even generate a full training schedule can really make a difference. Just remember, a plan does not understand your overall training goals or recovery needs, and it might not be sustainable in the long run. A lot of what I'm using ChatGPT for is really just a place to start. And especially when you are in the goal-getting process, starting is legit half the battle. Am I on tip 5, 4, 6? On tip 6. This is one of my favorites and kind of the most ridiculous. So as part of my goal of overhauling my freelance business, one of the key areas I'm focusing on is updating my website to better reflect who I am, my services, my experience, and the type of work I want to be doing. So using ChatGPT 4.0, I found a great way to get an outside perspective on how my website stacks up. I've always been a big fan of websites. I just feel like it's a longer way to have a really robust resume, right? So, people are going to read your resume, they're going to interpret you one way or the other. But if they can go to your website, see who you are, see the things you've worked on, and interact, engage, to me, it just paints a fuller picture. So you can prompt ChatGPT to analyze your websites, your potential competitors' websites, and even sites that have nothing to do with your business or you at all, but just websites that you like the style of. I'll usually ask it something like, analyze my website and compare it to these competitor sites. What do they do? What do they have that mine doesn't? And after that, I might follow up with, what can I do to improve my website's user experience? ChatGPT's analysis can be pretty insightful, surprisingly so. It points out areas for improvement, gives SEO advice, and highlights what's working well on other sites. And while this isn't going to replace professional website auditing or a designer to actually make those changes, it's a great way to get started and have ideas about what to ask for if redesigning your site isn't one of your strengths. ChatGPT's analysis isn't going to fully capture the design complexities or technical SEO issues that a professional would. It's not going to fix your site for you, but it can definitely help you understand the basics and spot some blind spots. To get the most out of it, you want to be really specific with your prompts. So instead of just saying, analyze my website, try something like compare the design and user experience of my website to these competitor sites and suggest improvements focused on user engagement and navigation. If you're looking for SEO help, ask something like, what SEO improvements can I make to boost my site's visibility in searches related to freelance video editing services? Obviously, that will be specific to me. Ultimately, using ChatGPT to analyze your website gives you a good outsider's perspective, and it might not replace, actually, it won't replace a professional designer or SEO expert, but it's a great starting point to develop your ideas and know what to ask for when you're ready to take your site to the next level. And so that's it. 6 easy ways to utilize ChatGPT to boost your productivity, tackle your goals, and keep your head above water. It's not about trying to be perfect or overhauling everything. It's just about making things a little easier, one step at a time. So if you found these tips helpful, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for more ways to work smarter, not harder. And if you've got a favorite ChatGPT prompt or another unique way you're using AI, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Yapping. A lot of yapping going on. You want to be really specific with your fonts. Fonts? Good Lord. If you're looking for SEO. Oh my God. Lord. I'm just going to be talking into my mic like this. Solid ways to use ChatGPT to boost your productivity, and so that's it. 6 easy ways to utilize